is something really exciting. I've teamed up with my main girl Sarah for what hopefully will be a series, but not like a really frequent one. Sporadic though it may be, it's going to be lots of fun. We're both loud and proud boy mums. So, as you can tell from the title, that's what it's going to be all about. This requires a bit of a backstory. Going back to NSD last May, we were talking and this cut file happened to come up in one of those like online ads or in my email box, and I showed it to Sarah and we started to laugh because we're a little bit rude like that. He said, oh, we've so got to use that, let's do it together. So that's what we're doing. The first thing, before I even figured out where to start in terms of a layout with it, is that I'm not a mom. I'm not even a mum. I'm a mama. So I changed it up like this. It's not great in terms of the fonts that I played with, and certainly when I actually stick it down, because I cut it out in a few sizes, when I do stick it down I'm going to try and mess about with the spacing of these letters, because there wasn't even any point trying to duplicate this font because I just didn't have anything close enough. Unless you have the exact same one, if it's close enough that you can tell the difference, it's just not going to work. The other thing is that I think this cut file is designed for mums who have a bunch of boys and they play a lot of sport. So it's kind of punny. Now, while I feel like I have more boys than I do, I'm definitely outnumbered, so this still works. But we're a geeky family. We don't do sport that much. A little bit of soccer for both the man-child and the boy-child, but that's about it. So I don't know whether I'm even going to use these yet or not. I do have a couple of soccer stories, but it just wasn't going to work with this. I have to use the other meaning of this, the one that Sarah and I were both giggling about. And believe me, I have plenty of stories for that. Nothing rude, nothing super inappropriate. Don't know whether that's a relief or a disappointment to you, but it is what it is. Where do I even begin? Once I figured out the story and the photos, I started to look for paper, and I started by looking through this big pile of paper, which I'm ashamed to say is about 12 inches high or close to it by now, of paper that I have pulled and not put away again. And this one just popped out, and it's from the Case of the Blahs from PinkCrafty Studio, and yeah, I thought, well, that's quite perfect considering the story that I'm going to be telling. And the colour combination's a bit weird. Not weird bad, but just weird unusual, and one that I would never have thought of putting together myself. So the natural consequence was to look through that big pile and pull out the other PinkCrafty stuff, because I know that this colour, this reddish coral colour, happens a lot in their collections. They use a lot of grey and black, which is good for my boys, and this weird sort of greyish bluish colour, green as well. I'm not sort of that much of a fan of this kind of icky yellowish greenish, yeah, it's pretty kind of a blah colour. It does give a bit of a pop. So anyway, PinkCrafty stuff, especially this collection, but others too. And this reminded me, I don't know if I'm going to use this paper or not, I probably won't, but it reminded me that a lot of their papers and in their collections, like a lot, and sometimes entire collections, are really mixed media-ish. That's a word, okay? Look out for it in the next version of the Oxford Dictionary. It'll be there. That reminded me, Sarah's mixed media class is still live, and thought I probably should do a bit more because, you know, it's Sarah and I don't want to offend the teacher or anything. So I thought, fine, I'll do a mixed media-ish background then to go with this. And I keep flipping through and I spy this paper. And this, while this is a bit colour blocky ombre, I thought, oh, that's it. Lesson 3 in Sarah's class is a kind of a watercolour ombre. While she uses different colours in the spectrum, sort of going like say from green to blue, and I think she did share one layout on socials that she finished with that. I thought, why don't I use that and just do more or less the same colour but going from a dark to a lighter one. Okay, fine. Did that, and I'll show you that background in a second. Okay, well, what do I do with it? And then, as I'm pondering this latest conundrum, Sarah puts up her Shimelle Sketches Reimagined video, and I went, of course, let's start with sketch, and while we're here, might as well look at some of Shimelle's sketches. And she reminded me that I started working through Glitter Girl series, or maybe it was Facebook that reminded me and did, you know, one of those memories that popped up. So I started looking through some of the Glitter Girl layouts that Shimelle had shared, and oh, look, here's my background. Yay! I used Distress the Stains. See what I'm doing? See where I'm going with that? So anyway, I found this because this has a lot of white space, and then it's got a few largish blocks of paper, and put it out there right now that it could go horribly wrong, and things often do, but let's hope it doesn't. So anyway, here are just some other papers that I pulled out that I may use, I may not. I have my little photos. I printed them nice and small. I knew I wanted 3, one of each of the current boys in the fam. I like the way that Shimelle has used a photo strip, and this reminded me to turn them into mono because all the colours were quite different, and sort of this one was taken in January. This one was from last year, late last year. This one was from the year before. So they're all more or less recent, and the exact date of the story doesn't so much matter, but they were taken by different people using different devices, and so this sort of makes them uniform. Alright, so I've cut out a few of these little guys, and aside from the obvious black and white, this reddish colour and the blue colour, probably cut them down because they're quite big the way they are, but I'll figure that out. I'll definitely use these 2 colours. This one's obviously given because I've done the background. I want to remember to absolutely definitely use that Potty People paper. I think the only it was the 3rd colour that, because I think it needs something else. That's the one I wasn't sure about. I'm thinking maybe green. There's a tiny little bit of the green in this one. I'm thinking since that's the biggest bit, I think the Potty People are going to go there, and it's a 12 by about say 3. Right, let's get this happening. I'm going to put these where I'm not going to lose them. I am probably going to ink the edges to make everything nice and uniform. How's that looking? It's quite close to the edge. I actually don't mind that. But yeah, I think it definitely needs ink, and I think black rather than grey, because I think it'll get lost. So I've pulled out the black distress ink. Alright, now it hasn't warped very much. I've used the mixed media paper, the watercolour paper that Sarah recommends, and it's really smooth without an awful lot of warping. So thinking the regular adhesive should be sufficient. If not, I will have to come up with a plan B. I've got to put my photos down, and I think I actually really like this speckly black on white. I don't know how much is going to show, probably not a whole lot, but just double check that I don't want. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to centre them a little bit more now that I've got that strip cut. I'll leave that as it is for now. I'm not sure whether I'll put an additional white mat under it or not. This bit that goes underneath, this light pink one, that's got the journaling on it, so I definitely need something I can write on. I mean, I can write on this, but I think that's where I was thinking that Dear Lizzie might work really well. Let's do that next. I quite like that actually. Okay, let's try that. I still think I prefer this bit to that bit. Anyway, there, that's going to go kind of like this. What I like is that Shimelle's sort of scattered her journaling around the page, and I've got a fair bit on this story to write, so I'm going to have to do that too, I think. But I've got to leave enough room for that little bit at the top there. I've got to do the bits across the bottom. Back to the pile of papers. Strip that goes on top there, I think that's going to have to be the blue, and then the bit underneath is either going to have to be a green or even a multicoloured one. What if I did do something like this? I'm going to cut a strip, and if I don't like it, I don't have to use it. Right, now I just have to figure out. I think that will be alright. I haven't put a whole bunch of strips of washi or anything. That's going to go sort of like that. Actually no, this has got to touch the bottom, and then that other bit goes across there, which I just realised I haven't even cut on the silhouette. That's going to be fun. Okay, talk amongst yourselves. I'll be back. Right, I'm not really sure which one of these I want. Let's pull it off and see. I'll cut those out. I actually really like the way they look, to be honest, even without putting these middles back in. Kind of messed up the spacing, so I think I'm going to have to stick with this smaller one. I'm going to attach that black to the back and then ink everything up. Let's get that done. All I'm doing here is adding some adhesive with my Kokio roller, dot roller, to the back of that cut file, adding some scraps of black cardstock to the back, and then inking up all the bits of paper that I've pre-cut and trying to figure out exactly where I want them on the layout. Okay, I'll put this down and then I can tuck that under and then figure out how much to cut off. Awesome. Okay. That can't really go any closer. Alright, I'm going to cut it here. The grid makes it easy. I can just cut it on the lines because I can't find a single proper pair of scissors right now. There's just these tiny little embroidery scissors. I think I'm going to trim it down just by one line. Alright, I'm just going to make that just a tiny bit longer then, because I don't want them to be the same, although I had hoped that this one would be shorter. Unless we go over the... Oh, that is definitely an option. Okay. Don't know if you can see that, but I've got the title cut here in 3 different sizes. So I'll start with the smaller one, or maybe the middle one, and see how I go with it. I will want to overlap some of the letters, but anyway, hopefully the A's will peel away reasonably well. It's not a particularly sticky mat. And I haven't put this one on yet. Alright, here we go. Actually, what I'm thinking is, if I get the boy bit from one of the slightly larger cuts, and then it might actually be, give it a bit more emphasis. Alright, I'll take the next one and see what it looks like. I'm conscious of leaving a little bit of room here for a largish kind of, because I mean this is what we're dealing with. Now that's way too big, so what I would do with this one is cut that bit out. But that's still, so I'll just leave a slight gap. I think I should start sticking this and this down and then figure out what's going to happen after that. Actually, that works so much better doing it like this than in one line, because there's these little divots where the between the A and the M where the B and the O can sit. And hopefully if I need to write some more, I can do it here. Oh, hang on, I forgot. I was supposed to do some mist sprinkles. And the more I think about it, the more I'm leaning maybe I will cut out some of those balls. But it means I've got to get the silhouette out again. I've cut apart a few of these and I managed to lose one in the process. I also went back and cut 3 of these. I skipped that egg-shaped football. There's going to be 3 embellishment areas, so I figured 3 balls would be enough. One of the reasons why I wanted them is because everything's sort of quite square and regimented, and there are a few round bits here, but I wanted some different kind of shapes. So I'm going to go and back these with some of the colours from the sheet. That weird icky yellow that I was a bit uncomfortable with. What I think I'm going to do is trim off these little fringy bits of the baseball to turn it into a tennis ball, because that's kind of a little bit more in keeping. I mean, Max plays tennis occasionally, so basketball, not so much. Soccer, yeah, maybe. So I'll get that done and then start trying to figure out where to put all the different bits and pieces. I just used some patterns from that cut apart sheet and one from another one of the Pink Fresh Studios to back these in. The next thing I want to do is sort of map out where some of the embellishment areas are going to go and use some label stickers to sort of like a placeholder or something like that. So I've got a strip of the same pattern paper that I've got at the bottom, and I want to bring it up to the top, and I'm just inking and measuring and figuring out exactly where it's going to go, because I don't want that embellishment cluster at the top to come down too low, but I do want to give myself enough room to put something there, and cutting away the excess. I'm going to come in with some label stickers, and trying them in various spots and inevitably moving them about 1,000,000 times. Then I'm coming in with those balls and seeing what each of those look like in the air embellishment clusters. I'm just placing them for the time being and putting in some of those 2x2 cards that I had previously cut and seeing what the different shaped ones look like. I'm going to put the journaling done. I've stuck down a few of these. I've left this corner standing up because I think I'm going to put a little foam square under there. I'll fit what I can here, and then I'm just not sticking that down until I'm ready to commit to that. Now, because these pictures are all from different but sort of recent dates, I'm just going to put up here that the month and the year, and that the current boy count is 3. Oh, okay. I had some things with different textures that I wanted to bring in. Okay, before I forget, I've got some fabricy textures and some chipboard bits. I'm picking out some bits from that chipboard sheet. They end up being on the smaller side, and there's a long narrow one at the top and a similarly shaped one at the bottom, which does end up being cut off. I don't think I put any chipboard to the left of the photo block, but then I go through a packet of fabric. They're like die cuts, but they're made of fabric, and I sort of roughed them up and frayed them with the scissors, and putting one that says, what does it say? No apologies there in that left bit of the photo. And what I like is that each of the areas have a no something, like no judgment at the top and no shame at the bottom. And I'm looking at enamel dots, but it's premature. I'm back to fiddling with little label stickers and die cuts. And now I'm going to grab a roll of white washi tape with some black cameras on it and get 3 pieces and put some in each of the embellishment clusters, which isn't as easy as it looks once they're all in place. Okay, well, I think I'm going to leave it here. I'm not 100% sure. I don't think there's anything else I really want to add. That'll do it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope if you haven't already watched Sarah's, you will go and watch hers. There'll be detailed photos, close-ups, and you know, a backstory, all the rest of it on my blog. I will link to that, to Shimelle's video, to Sarah's video, and all the good stuff in the box right there. There. You know where it is. Thanks again for watching, and see you next time. Bye!